Imagine booking your dream vacation to Phuket. You've seen the Instagram photos: pristine white sand, crystal clear turquoise water, palm trees swaying in the breeze. You land at the airport, fight through 2 hours of gridlock traffic just to reach your hotel, and finally make it to the beach. And what do you find? Trash scattered across the sand, black water flowing from drainage canals into the sea, beach chairs packed so tightly you can barely find a spot to sit. And the water? Officials say it's crystal clear, but locals are calling it polluted. This is Phuket in 2025. Once Thailand's crown jewel, the island that made tropical paradise an industry standard. Now, visitors are coming back from Phuket saying they wish they'd gone to Bali instead. One traveler said paying Lake Como prices for what you get in Phuket just doesn't make sense anymore. And the beaches, the whole reason people used to flock here, are losing their magic fast. Let's start with the most obvious problem. Phuket's beaches are dirty. And I don't mean a few stray rappers, I mean trash crisis level dirty. After New Year's Eve 2025, Patong Beach was buried under a mountain of garbage. Photos went viral showing beer bottles, plastic cups, camping chairs, and single-use plastics covering the sand. The debris stretched along the entire coastline. It looked like a landfill, not a world-famous beach. And it's not just after big events. Nai Harn Beach, supposedly one of the best beaches in Thailand, regularly has trash scattered across the sand. Visitors report seeing plastic bottles, fishing nets, lighters, and flip-flops washed up from Malaysia, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka. During monsoon season, when strong winds blow garbage onto shore, the beaches get absolutely swamped. One traveler who visited Phuket for the first time in 5 years said the difference was shocking. Beaches that used to be pristine are now littered with trash. The vibe that once made Phuket special has disappeared. And here's the uncomfortable part. Local authorities don't always acknowledge the problem. When black water was photographed flowing from Karan Beach into the ocean, the mayor insisted it wasn't pollution, just sediment, and that the water was actually crystal clear and odorless. Tourists looking at the photos weren't convinced. Phuket's daily waste has exploded from 742 tons in 2022 to 961 tons in 2023, and officials predict it will hit 1,400 tons before the end of 2005. Sa Siu. The island has one main landfill, Safan Hin, and it's nearly full. Only 10% of waste gets recycled, 60% is organic, but there's no composting infrastructure at scale. The rest? It piles up. The trash isn't just an eyesore, it's killing marine life. Sea turtles are washing up dead with plastic in their stomachs. The water near Koh Sarai is contaminated with fecal matter and bacteria from clogged drainage canals. Children living in fishing villages are developing skin rashes from polluted water. And that contaminated water flows into the ocean where fish live. Fish that end up on dinner plates. Thailand is the 6th largest contributor globally to ocean plastic leakage. Phuket is a major part of that statistic, and tourists are starting to notice. But it's not just trash. The water quality itself is questionable. Several beaches in Phuket have drainage canals that empty directly into the sea. Kata, Patong, Kamala, and Bang Tao all have these waterways. When it rains heavily or at low tide, these canals flow freely into the ocean. And the water coming out of them? Gray-black, opaque, and foul-smelling. Walk along the canal between Café Del Mar and the Intercontinental Hotel in Kamala. You'll see what locals call nasty water, polluted runoff flowing straight into the swimming area. For decades, officials have tried to find the source of this pollution with no success. They just keep saying they're working on it. Tourists are advised not to swim near the mouths of these canals when they're flowing. But most tourists don't know which areas to avoid. They just jump in the water and hope for the best. A survey by Prince of Songkla University in 2017 asked tourists what they disliked most about Phuket's beaches. The top 2 complaints? Trash and water quality. Foreign tourists said they prioritized natural beaches without buildings. They wanted clean sand and clean water. And according to the survey, Phuket was failing on both fronts. That was 2017. Things have only gotten worse since then. Now let's talk about overcrowding. Because even if the beaches were clean, there's another problem. There are too many people. Phuket is officially the most over-touristed destination in the world. The ratio of tourists to locals is 118 to 1. During peak season, the island's permanent population of around 400,000 swells to nearly 1 million with tourists and migrant workers. The infrastructure was designed for 400,000 people. It cannot handle triple that number. Beaches are packed. Beach chairs take up every available inch of sand, leaving almost no room for people who just want to lay down a towel. Finding a seat at a cafe is a challenge. Roads are jammed, hotels are overbooked, water shortages are common, electricity disruptions happen regularly. One expat who lived in Phuket for 4 years recently left, citing overcrowding as a major reason. He described the island as no longer feeling like a laid-back paradise, but rather a stressful, expensive place where the easygoing vibe has vanished. The beaches that used to offer tranquility and natural beauty now feel like theme parks. You're surrounded by hundreds of other tourists, all trying to get the same Instagram photo. The experience feels manufactured, not authentic. And the local culture? It's being drowned out. Parts of Phuket, particularly areas popular with Russian tourists, don't even feel like Thailand anymore. Signs are in Russian, menus are in Russian. Businesses cater more to foreign tourists than to preserving Thai identity. The island's charm is being replaced by generic mass tourism. Here's where things get really frustrating. The traffic. Phuket's roads were never designed for this many people. Traffic congestion is unbearable. Areas like Patong Hill, Chalong Circle, and the Heroines Monument see long traffic jams every single day, especially during morning and evening rush hours. But here's the thing, it's not just morning and evening, it's all day. Tour buses, rental cars, and motorbikes clog every major road. Getting from the airport to your hotel can take 2 hours for a 30-kilometer drive. Going from one beach to another feels like an endurance test. Tourists complain constantly. They book a week-long vacation and spend half of it sitting in traffic. That's not the tropical escape they paid for. Local officials admit there's no fast solution. Police officers are stationed at key intersections during peak season. Temporary traffic controls are used during big events, but these are band-aids, not solutions. The fundamental problem, too many vehicles and not enough roads, remains unaddressed. The government has approved plans for a new expressway and a tunnel from Kathu to Patong, but that project won't be completed until 2029 or 2030. That's 5 years away. And even when it's done, will it actually solve the problem? Or will it just encourage more development and more traffic? The Phuket Tourist Association has been begging the government for decades to invest in infrastructure. The Kathu Patong Tunnel has been delayed repeatedly due to political changes. The water supply project from Cheo Lan Dam has been discussed for over 20 years and still hasn't been implemented. Meanwhile, traffic gets worse every year, and tourists notice. When you spend 2 hours getting to a beach only to find it crowded and dirty, you start wondering why you didn't just go to Bali or the Maldives instead. Let's talk money, because here's the brutal truth. Phuket has become expensive, really expensive. The strong Thai baht has made Thailand more costly for international visitors. But even beyond currency issues, prices in Phuket have climbed dramatically. Hotels, food, drinks, tours, everything costs more than it used to. One visitor described eating lunch in Lake Como, Italy, and paying nearly the same price as a random restaurant in Phuket. His conclusion? If he has to choose between the two for the same price, Lake Como wins easily. That's the problem. Phuket is charging premium prices for a declining product. The beaches are dirty. The traffic is terrible. The water quality is questionable. The crowds are overwhelming, and yet prices keep going up. Tourists are asking themselves, why pay more for less? Vietnam offers beautiful beaches, cleaner environments, and better value. Malaysia is cheaper and less crowded. Even Bali, which has its own over-tourism issues, feels more authentic and better maintained than Phuket. The cost of living in Phuket is now higher than Bangkok or Chiang Mai. Rent is expensive. Food is expensive. Transportation is expensive, and for tourists, the experience doesn't justify the cost anymore. The Phuket government keeps talking about attracting quality tourists, people who stay longer and spend more. But quality tourists want quality experiences. They want pristine beaches, excellent service, smooth infrastructure, and authentic culture. Phuket isn't delivering on any of those fronts. Instead, the island is stuck in a vicious cycle. Prices go up, quality goes down. Tourists who can afford better destinations choose them. The tourists who do come expect luxury but get overcrowding and pollution. They leave disappointed and tell their friends not to bother. Environmental degradation goes beyond just trash and water pollution. Phuket is facing serious ecological crises that are making the island less attractive and less sustainable. Coral reefs near Phuket have been damaged by pollution and erosion. These reefs are home to marine species and are crucial to the underwater tourism that used to draw divers from around the world. But now, many dive spots are degraded. The vibrant coral that used to be a major draw is bleached and dying. Phuket is also dealing with climate change impacts. Flooding is becoming more frequent. Landslides happen regularly, especially in areas like Karen and Kata after heavy rain. Water shortages are common during dry season because the infrastructure can't keep up with demand. The island is literally sinking. Rising sea levels combined with overdevelopment mean that coastal areas are increasingly vulnerable. And the drainage system built decades ago can't handle the intense rainfall that climate change is bringing. One environmental report warned that Phuket faces a high level of risk from rising sea levels, floods, and water stress. The island's natural beauty, the thing that made it famous, is being destroyed by the very tourism industry that depends on it. And instead of addressing these problems with long-term sustainable solutions, the government reacts with short-term fixes. Clean up the beach after a festival, spray the streets with water trucks. But the underlying issues, poor waste management, inadequate infrastructure, uncontrolled development, are never seriously tackled. Here's the part that frustrates locals and long-term expats the most: the overdevelopment. New condos, hotels, and businesses are popping up everywhere. Residential units are in the pipeline in the Bang Tao area alone, which will double the existing supply. Construction sites are everywhere. Half-built high-rises litter the landscape. But here's the problem. The infrastructure isn't keeping up. You can build all the hotels you want, but if there's no water supply, no proper drainage, and roads that can't handle the traffic, what's the point? One expat described the construction as unsustainable. The island doesn't have the infrastructure to support this level of building, but developers keep building anyway because short-term profits matter more than long-term sustainability. The Phuket government's fiscal budget is allocated based on the number of households, without considering the massive influx of tourists and long-stay visitors. So the island has the tax revenue of a small city, but the infrastructure needs of a major tourist destination. It doesn't add up. Meanwhile, the character of the island is being lost. The laid-back tropical vibe that made Phuket special is being replaced by concrete towers and construction noise. The island doesn't feel like Thailand anymore. It feels like a generic overdeveloped resort destination that could be anywhere. And tourists notice. They come expecting a tropical paradise and find a construction zone. That's not what they paid for. So what needs to change? Because complaining is easy. Solutions are harder. First, tackle the waste crisis. Phuket needs a comprehensive waste management system. Not just talk about it, but actually implement it. Increase recycling rates above 10%. Invest in composting infrastructure for that 60% of organic waste. Build new landfills or incinerators before the current one overflows. Launch education campaigns about waste disposal. Find people and businesses that litter. Create incentives for sustainable practices. Some communities like Samaki Samkong have started garbage bank initiatives where residents can exchange trash for credits. Scale that up island-wide. Second, fix the water quality. Identify the sources of pollution flowing into those drainage canals and stop them. Upgrade wastewater treatment. Don't just tell tourists the water is crystal clear when photographic evidence says otherwise. Be honest about the problem and fix it. Third, address the infrastructure deficit. Actually build the Kathupatong tunnel that's been delayed for over a decade. Implement the water supply project from Cho Lan Dam that's been discussed for 20 years. Improve public transportation so tourists don't need to rent cars and clog the roads. The government has approved plans for an AI-driven traffic management system based on Singapore's model. Great. But don't just study it for years. Implement it. The tunnel project has a 60 billion baht budget and won't be done until 2030. That's 5 years of worsening traffic before any relief comes. Fourth, slow down the development. Pause new hotel and condo approvals until infrastructure catches up. Focus on improving what already exists rather than building more mediocre properties. Quality over quantity. The government keeps saying they want quality tourism, but they're approving quantity development. Those two things don't work together. Fifth, protect the natural environment. The beaches, the coral reefs, the forests. These are Phuket's assets. Without them, there's no tourism industry. Invest in reef restoration. Create marine protected areas. Enforce environmental regulations. Don't let short-term profits destroy the long-term foundation of the economy. Sixth, manage carrying capacity. Phuket was designed for 400,000 people. It can't sustainably support 1 million. Either improve infrastructure massively to handle that load, or limit the number of visitors during peak seasons. Other destinations like Venice and Barcelona have implemented tourist caps. Maybe Phuket needs to consider the same. Seventh, preserve local culture. Don't let the island become a Russian or Chinese enclave where Thai culture is sidelined. Promote Thai businesses. Require signage in Thai. Celebrate local traditions. Make sure that when tourists visit Phuket, they actually experience Thailand, not a generic international resort bubble. Look, Phuket still has incredible potential. The natural beauty is still there, buried under the trash and overdevelopment. The beaches, when they're clean, are stunning. The culture, when it's not being commercialized to death, is rich and fascinating. The food is amazing. The people are genuinely warm. But the island is at a crossroads. It can continue down the current path, overcrowded, overdeveloped, polluted, and expensive, and watch tourists choose other destinations. Or it can make hard choices, invest in sustainability, and rebuild its reputation as a world-class tropical paradise. Right now, the momentum is in the wrong direction. Tourist satisfaction is declining. Complaints about trash, traffic, and water quality are increasing. Long-term expats are leaving. Visitors are saying they regret choosing Phuket over alternatives. The numbers tell the story. Thailand overall saw a 7% drop in tourism in 2025. Phuket managed to maintain arrivals, but hotel occupancy declined. Tourists are coming, but they're not staying as long or spending as much, and many of them are leaving disappointed. The Phuket Tourist Association has been sounding the alarm for years. They're begging the government to stop talking and start acting. But political changes keep delaying critical projects. Budgets get allocated but don't get spent. Plans get approved but don't get implemented. Meanwhile, competitors like Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines are investing in their tourism infrastructure. They're building better roads, cleaning their beaches, and offering better value. And tourists are noticing. Here's the hardest truth. Phuket's problems are fixable. This isn't a natural disaster or an unavoidable crisis. It's a management failure. The trash crisis? That's a policy and infrastructure problem. The traffic congestion? That's a planning and investment problem. The overdevelopment? That's a regulatory problem. The water pollution? That's an enforcement problem. Every single issue Phuket is facing has a solution. Other destinations have solved similar challenges. The question is whether Phuket has the political will to actually do it, because right now the incentives are all wrong. Developers make money building new hotels, even if the infrastructure can't support them. Businesses profit from short-term tourist volume, even if it degrades the experience. Politicians get credit for approving projects, even if those projects never get built. Nobody's being held accountable for the declining beach quality, the worsening traffic, or the environmental degradation. And until someone is, nothing will change. Tourists vote with their wallets, and increasingly, they're voting for other destinations. Phuket can either wake up to that reality or watch itself become a cautionary tale about what happens when mass tourism goes unchecked. So where does this leave travelers planning a trip? If you're thinking about visiting Phuket, go. It's still a beautiful place with a lot to offer, but adjust your expectations. The beaches won't look like the Instagram photos. The traffic will be terrible. The prices will be higher than you expect, and you'll spend a lot of your vacation in a car or dodging trash on the sand. Choose your timing carefully. Avoid peak season if you can. Visit during shoulder months when crowds are smaller and beaches are slightly cleaner. Research which beaches are less developed, places like Leon or Freedom Beach that haven't been completely overrun yet. Stay away from Patong if you value tranquility. Opt for quieter areas like Rawai or Nai Harn, though even those are getting crowded. Book accommodations with good reviews specifically mentioning cleanliness and the service quality. Don't assume all hotels are created equal. Be prepared for sticker shock. Budget more than you would for other Southeast Asian destinations and lower your expectations about pristine beaches and crystal clear water. If you've seen photos of Phuket from 10 years ago, that's not what you're going to find today. Or honestly, consider going somewhere else. Vietnam's beaches are cleaner and cheaper. The Philippines has less crowded islands with better diving. Malaysia offers great food, culture, and beaches without the chaos. Even Thailand's other islands like Koh Lanta or Koh Kood are less developed and more peaceful. Phuket isn't a bad destination, but it's not the paradise it used to be. And until the island gets serious about fixing its problems, tourists have plenty of better options. The beach destinations that thrive long-term are the ones that balance tourism growth with sustainability. They protect their natural assets, they invest in infrastructure, they maintain quality. They don't sacrifice long-term viability for short-term profits. Phuket is failing on all those fronts, And the beaches, the reason anyone comes here in the first place, are paying the price. So yeah, Phuket's beaches aren't attracting tourists like before. Not because the beaches themselves have changed, the geography is the same, but because everything around them has deteriorated. The experience has declined while the price has increased. That's not a winning formula. The question now is whether Phuket will course correct before it's too late. Because once a destination's reputation is damaged, it's incredibly hard to recover. Ask any tourist who's been to Phuket recently, and they'll tell you it's not what it used to be. And that's the saddest part. It didn't have to be this way. So, have you been to Phuket recently? What was your experience? Let me know in the comments, and if you found this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more travel reality checks. See you in the next one.